pole position, the Doctor, with his legion of fans in the grandstand in front of him. Jerry Burgess just looks pensive down at that Yamaha machine. Rossi is ready for a very, very important battle. As I say, 5 years ago to the day, he clinched the world title in the 500cc class for the first time at Phillip Island in Australia. I would say this race is equally as important. Just checking his visor. May have just had a word with Andrea Dovizioso, who told us after winning the 250cc race he could not see a thing. Quite a surprising thing to say, really. Third fastest is on the front row of the grid. It's Nicky Hayden riding that Repsol Honda. This is the smallest World Championship lead he's had since the race in Catalonia. Remember, he left Laguna Seca in America when he won the race, and he had a 51-point lead. He's seen it reduced, but Nicky Hayden has looked very strong indeed this weekend for, without a doubt, the most important race of his life. The shades are on, the beanie hat is on. Ricky Fonseca, the former Supercross rider, on the grid, shaking hands with the rider. We just saw Nicky Hayden reach across and shake hands with him. Valentino Rossi still looking at his helmet, still looking at his visor.
Now I've got Nicky Hayden with me. Nicky, deep in thought at the moment. You're smiling. You're on the front row, though. This is the best sight you've seen in a few weeks.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I feel pal on front row, but I feel good here. You know, I've enjoyed riding the bike this weekend. The team's done a great job, and it's definitely working better than it has. It's a lot cooler today, so see what happens. But this means a lot to me, so I'm ready to give everything I got.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You've been getting those consistent lap times, which has been putting a smile on your face.
Yeah, no doubt. Just thanks to the team. I mean, the bike's definitely working better here than it has the last couple. So they did me a good job. I just got to pay them back today with a solid result. And, you know, have fun. I'm enjoying it, being part of this title. And, yeah, we got to roll today. I mean, it's just the bottom line. We got to be on that podium regardless.
All right, we'll get on the gas and kick some.
All right, for sure.
Nicky Hayden, test here. Not the tension in his voice. He knows this is the two most important weeks of his life. If he could clinch the title here in Estoril, it would be like a giant weight off his shoulders. But I think we all feel that the title will go all the way down the line to Valencia in 2 weeks' time.
Well, he's still smiling. He's even said I didn't even have to put the words in his mouth. It is the ride of his life at the moment. He's really got to pull something out and get back to that winning frame of mind.
Colin Edwards, great performance by Colin Edwards for himself. He told us that he will be with the Camel Yamaha team next season, riding with Valentino Rossi, not signed but all agreed, and he did himself and the team a great deal of good by finishing second fastest yesterday.
Now I've gone from the front of the grid right down to the back of the grid to welcome someone back to GP racing on the Illmore. Welcome back to it, Gary, and a track that's got some good memories for you.
Yeah, thanks, Braxy. It's it's great to be back and good to be here in the big major class and back on a new machine for next year.
Well, it's been little increments all weekend, and also a good bonus for you this morning, the fastest lap of the weekend so far for you.
Yeah, well, it's early days for us, and the bike's so new and young. Each day is just, every time we keep getting quicker, new things are popping up, and we're having to fix, and it's just the nature of having a new bike, and it's the way things go.
All right, mate, we'll leave you to it to get the race face on, but go out and have some fun.
No worries, thanks.
Gary McCoy back in Grand Prix action. He won here 6 years ago, riding that new 800cc Illmore machine. We're on to the second row of the grid. Danny Pedrosa, 21 years old, 2 wins already this season. Starts fourth fastest, second row of the grid. Had that last qualifying lap aborted after a little bit of an altercation with his old rival Casey Stoner. He's right in there, and he could be a big, big surprise. Daniel Day-Lewis, the actor, he's going to go on the Ducati, or he's been on the Ducati with Randy Mamola on the two-seater. I think he's enjoyed that, and now just sampling life from the front row of the grid. There's a little bit of cloud about. You can see from the picture there from the hills away to our right.
Well, I've just got Chris Vermeulen with me. Been a difficult weekend for you, Chris, learning the track and getting the grips with these Bridgestone tyres around here.
Again, learn on a track. Yeah, it's been a few times this year, but it's the last track I have to learn. And but I quite enjoy the circuit. Yeah, the Bridgestones, we've been struggling with durability at the moment, but fingers crossed we've got the right tyre for the race. It's a little cooler than yesterday, so hopefully that'll help out.
That was my next question. With warm-up being a bit cooler, did you find something that might suit?
I'm not using the tyre I used in warm-up, but we found some different things, and hopefully it'll work.
All right, mate. Hopefully you get a good start and get away with the boys.
Yeah, thanks, Braxy.
Casey Stoner in 5th place. Just talking there to Chris Vermeulen. Chris, as we just heard, a few problems in practice. His first time here, he's qualified on the 4th row of the grid. He qualified 12th fastest. Casey Stoner's had a good weekend despite the little problems with Danny Pedrosa. Led the way on Friday in practice. He's qualified 5th fastest. Winner of the race here last year in the 250cc class. Casey Stoner celebrates his 21st birthday on Monday. How about celebrating that with a Grand Prix victory in the MotoGP class? That would be the best birthday present you could ever imagine. We're in the helicopter.
Now I've got Colin Edwards with me back to the front row of the grid. Makes me smile, mate, so it must be making you smile pretty well. And had to duck out there for a little minute, just get a drink of water, was it?
Nah, had to unload some of that water I was drinking.
But no, you've had a pretty good practice and qualifying this weekend as well, getting back to where we know you can be.
Yeah, it's, after Montague, our test that we had there, thanks to my team and Michelin, we kind of figured a few things out and feel good, feel really comfortable with the bike at the moment, able to go to the edge and stay there.
Well, I know you'll be going for the win, but if you're leading, will you have to back it off a bit and let your teammate pass?
I'm sticking to the plan, which is we want Yamaha, obviously, to win the World Championship.
All right, we'll leave you to it. Thanks, mate.
All right, thanks.
There we go, Colin Edwards. He told us yesterday that he would help Valentino Rossi, so we wait to see exactly how that help will come. Shinya Nakano qualified 7th fastest and on his penultimate ride for Kawasaki. He starts from the 3rd row of the grid, again on those Bridgestone tyres. Further along, the two Ducatis had not had the best of times, have they? Sete Gibernau's qualified 8th fastest, crashed out in the morning warm-up. He's been 4th in the last 2 races. Favourite now to stay with Ducati. I think it's just the Euro sign that are being discussed at the moment. But Sete Gibernau obviously needs 2 good races at the end of the season just to confirm that contract with Ducati. I've seen him leading here twice. And certainly I remember 2004, he was leading the race and crashed out with a couple of laps to go up in that difficult chicane section. And he was being pushed hard from behind by, Valentino Rossi. Carlos Checa, another good performance by him. 3rd row of the grid, qualified 9th fastest on that Dunlop Shod Tech 3 Yamaha. He's 34 years old today, and he's finished in the top 4 in 5 races at Estoril. And he's pretty hot property at the moment, Carlos Checa. The team are desperate to re-sign him, but he's had offers from other teams. Obviously, one of those is going to be Kawasaki. One suggests it will even be Ducati and other teams. We wait to see, but I believe he's got a deadline probably for tonight to say if he's going to stay with Tech 3 or not. Loris Capirosi's had a tough time. Loris Capirossi, rich vein of form, but he's only qualified 10th fastest on the Ducati. 2 wins in the last 4 races. Really has been flying, Loris Capirossi. Just a little bit of a blip really here in Estoril. A few tyre problems, things not quite right. 10th fastest for Loris Capirossi. And a podium finish I think would be very difficult for him, as it would be for Marco Melandri. Still in with a chance of the championship, as is Loris Capirossi. But Melandri's had a really tough time. That crash on Friday afternoon damaging his left knee. Missed the whole of the practice session. And from that moment on, he really does not seem to have recovered. And he's qualified 15th fastest. And Marco Melandri will start from the 5th row of the grid. And a man again in big form. Safety car will leave any moment now. 5 minutes to go before the penultimate round of the MotoGP World Championship. Can Hayden be crowned world champion? Can Rossi pull back the advantage? Will we have to wait until 2 weeks to see who would win the championship? Stay with us. 28 laps of this Estoril circuit. It promises to be one of the best races of the season. The grid slowly being cleared.
Yeah, it is. Everybody's getting that hurry up at the moment. Couple of minutes left to go to what could be the deciding race of the 2006 season. And whether it's a deciding one or not, Nick, this is going to be one beauty of a race.
Nicky Hayden, number 69, third fastest. Colin Edwards in the middle of that front row, number 5 on the Yamaha, second fastest. Valentino Rossi, the world champion, trailing Hayden by 12 points in the championship this year, number 46 on the Yamaha, and in pole position for this 28-lap penultimate round of the MotoGP World Championship. Doesn't get much better than this. Hayden waits. In 45 minutes' time, he could be crowned world champion. Rossi's Yamaha prepares for action. Rossi's been in this situation many times before. Here we go, 28 laps, 2.599 miles, 4.182 kilometers. No need to remind you about that front row. Rossi, Edwards, Hayden. Row 2, Pedrosa, Stoner, Hopkins. Row 3, Nakano, Gibernau, Checker. Row 4, Caparossi, Elias, and Chris Vermeulen. Row 5, Kenny Roberts Jr., Makoto Tamada, and Marco Melandri. Row 6, Depunier, James Ellison, and Alex Hoffman. And row 7, Cardoso and Gary McCoy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Estoril, and let battle commence. Okay, let's just run through the different scenarios. If Nicky Hayden wins the race, then Valentino Rossi needs to finish no higher than 5th for Hayden to become the world champion. If Nicky Hayden finishes 2nd, he will become world champion if Valentino Rossi finishes no higher than 10th and Marco Melandri does not win the race. If Nicky Hayden finishes 3rd, Valentino Rossi must finish no higher than 14th, Marco Melandri no higher than 4th, and neither Danny Pedrosa or Loris Capirossi must win the race. Championship chart, perfect timing, 12 points between Hayden and Rossi, 27 points between Melandri in 3rd place and Hayden in the lead.
Can Nicky do it, mate? Can he go out and win this race and really get that points extension that he needs going into Valencia?
I think realistically, Mark, that Nicky Hayden will want to keep that points gap consistent and go into Valencia with a decent lead. Actually winning the title here, I think, is going to be very, very difficult.
I don't think that'll happen today, Nick, but it'd be just good to see him get up there and win, and that's the boost of confidence that you need with the final race coming up in 2 weeks' time. They're
on their sighting lap. The nerves will now have disappeared. They're where they want to be. They're out on the track. They're on those 990cc monsters. They're ready to see if the World Championship can be decided this afternoon. And the big news, Mark, I suppose weather-wise, is that it's dry. And from where I am, it looks like it could well remain dry.
Yeah, and ye of little faith. I said it wouldn't rain today, didn't I? I got it wrong at Phillip Island, but I think I'm right this afternoon.
Let's hope so. I think the worst thing that it could have happened is if the rain had come down. Valentino Rossi makes his way to the front row of the grid for just the 4th time this season because he starts from pole position. Nicky Hayden starts have let him down in the last 4 races. Hayden must must make a decent start here this afternoon. 28 laps. Rossi prepares for action. Alongside him on that front row, his own teammate, Colin Edwards, and the championship leader, Nicky Hayden. The red flag has been taken away. The Grand Prix of Portugal here in Estoril could decide the outcome of the championship. The lights are on red. Who's going to make the start? Hayden's got off the line a lot better than he had done before, but it looks like Colin Edwards on the Yamaha leads the way with Rossi in second place. Edwards leads the way into turn one. Rossi goes around the outside of him. Rossi leads. Danny Pedrosa in third place. Nicky Hayden in fourth. That's a better start by Hayden, but he doesn't want to let those two Yamahas get out in front. And Danny Pedrosa has already got in front of Colin Edwards and is chasing after Rossi. Rossi's going at it for it at the very start. Hayden must hang in there with him.
That is the best start we've seen of Hayden since before Checo. Well, I'd say the USGP, it wasn't even a good start for him, but now sitting in fourth spot, he's got those three in front of him now. He can see them. That's all he needs.
We have a Ford. I think it could be a Kawasaki. Looks like one of the Kawasaki's is gone.
You're right there, Nick, but we can't just pick out the number at the moment.
Back at the front, Rossi leads. Pedrosa means business in second place. Edwards third. In fourth place, it's Hayden. In fifth place, Stoner. Sixth, Caparossi. Good start by Caparossi. Gibernau in seventh place. Shinya Nakano, and he has not moved. Let's wait and see. This race could be stopped. We wait to see if there's any sign of the red flag. Unaware of what is happening behind them, the riders plough on. Still the race proceeds. Up through the the difficult 8, 9 and 10 section. Rossi leads, Pedrosa second, Edwards third, Hayden fourth, Stoner 5, Caparossi 6, Gibernau 7, Elias 8, and Chris Vermeulen. What a start by Chris Vermeulen in 9th place. They're coming out towards the S's section. That is Tony Elias, the long right-hander that brings them back into the start and finish straight first time round. 27 laps to go when they come through the start and finish straight. Rossi still leads the way. Pedrosa second, Edwards third. Edwards now having a little nibble at Danny Pedrosa. Looks like the race will proceed. Nicky Hayden going around the outside route, trying to get past Colin Edwards. Has he done so? He has. Nicky Hayden has moved up into third place. He really means business. Now he's behind his teammate Danny Pedrosa. This is a battle of the riders and a battle of the teams, because it's Camel Yamaha first, Repsol Honda second, Repsol Honda third, and there is Shinya Nakano leaving the circuit in a very sad state, leaving on a stretcher.
He's moving and it looks like everything's in place, Nick. But what an aggressive move by Nicky Hayden to go around the outside, backing it into turn one. That was the sign we needed to let everybody know how much he means business this afternoon. Oh, we've got a Ducati down.
And Casey Stoner down and Sete Gibernau down, I think.
And
it could be Loris Caparossi.
I just know it's a Ducati, but Stoner put his hands up as if to say, sorry, mate. So
I'm pretty certain that was Sete Gibernau. But it was definitely Stoner, and it was definitely one of the Ducatis, and I'm pretty certain it was Sete Gibernau. Let's have a look. Ooh, it was Stoner that crashed first, and I think it was Gibernau behind him, it was.
And
so Casey Stoner and Sete Gibernau both down, and both, I think, okay. Casey Stoner apologises.
And Sete Gibernau holding his shoulder at that moment, which we know he severely damaged at that crash at Barcelona. He rode over the top of Stoner's bike, which flung him to the ground. But here it is, these leaders are already, the leading four already trying to break away. Rossi, Pedrosa, Edwards and Hayden.
The nod of the head back in the Ducati camp and the LCR Honda camp. Stoner out of the race, Gibernau out of the race, Nakano out of the race. There's 26 laps to go and Rossi leads the way from Danny Pedrosa. Nicky Hayden now being relegated back to fourth place by Colin Edwards. All the excitement going on behind them. But Colin Edwards is doing a sterling job for Yamaha and for his teammate Valentino Rossi, because he has knocked Nicky Hayden back to fourth place.
Now what Pedrosa could do, Nick, too, is get in front of Rossi and actually slow them up a bit, that allow Hayden to try and get up and catch him, because he's at the moment, he's 0.35 of a second behind Edwards as they start this 26 laps to go, as we see another move there of Edwards going underneath Hayden to retake third spot.
So Rossi leads. I love the way you say Pedrosa could just get past Rossi, like going to catch the bus in the morning. I don't think it's quite as easy as that, Mark. Down at the left-hander, the Parabolica Interior.
Now Hayden 0.7 of a second off the lead. I think that gap's going to be a bit bigger by the time they come through this last section, because these two Yamahas and the Honda of Pedrosa just eking out a bit of a minuscule lead over Hayden at the moment.
And Tony Elias is having a great ride in fifth place at the moment. If anything, he is starting to close.
Oh, and a great move by Edwards up the
Edwards
inside
is
there.
riding quite brilliantly for Yamaha because he's pushed Danny Pedrosa back to third place. This is more like a speedway race, isn't it? Tactical substitutes and riding from behind. I hope your bloke in the front. But that was tremendous stuff by Colin Edwards. First of all, he's knocked Nicky Hayden back to fourth place. Now just look at this. He's knocked Danny Pedrosa back to third. Rossi, well, he'd be buying him a pint or buying him a bottle of champagne at the end of this race.
And just ran over the ripple strip then to get that extra bit of traction. And the same about sideways.
As Mick Doohan looking on. Obviously a lot of support for Honda from Mick Doohan. He likes Valentino Rossi as well, but that was superb stuff from Colin Edwards. That's what you want from a teammate. Now Nicky Hayden in particular, you must not let Rossi and Edwards get away at the front.
Now he's got to relegate Pedrosa back to fourth and try and give chase to these guys because every point is very vital at the moment. 12 points going in at the moment. He's giving away another 12 points as well.
And Nicky Hayden in turn is coming under real pressure from Tony Elias. Look, there he is, number 24 on the Fortuna Honda. Elias in fifth place, Loris Capirossi sixth, Kenny Roberts Jr. in seventh place, and Nicky Hayden has got up in front. Oh, he nearly hits Danny Pedrosa. Hayden knew he had to go through. Hayden just knows that he mustn't let those two Yamahas get away at the front, and he almost touches with Danny Pedrosa, but Nicky Hayden is up into third place. A big contrast between the teammates. There's Valentino Rossi and Colin Edwards in total harmony at the moment, with Edwards doing a great job for him. But look at this.
I think they actually touch going in there. They might see a bit of paint on Danny Pedrosa's leathers at the end of the races. And I don't think Pedrosa's going to give up by any stretch of the imagination. Now it's up to Hayden to try and slip up the second spot because Rossi is getting away. He's got 0.8 of a second over Edwards at the moment.
Oh, that was aggressive stuff from Nicky Hayden, and you can understand why now. He's really got to get past Colin Edwards as hard as he can. We ride with Danny Pedrosa. That's Hayden in front of him. He's just got the yellow leathers there of Colin Edwards. Over the start and finish line they go. 24 laps to go. We'll have a look through the field a bit further down a little bit later on, but if you blink, things change here, don't they? There is Nicky Hayden in third place. We ride with the doctor, Valentino Rossi, out at the front as he has been on the race. That's what we wanted to see. Nicky Hayden and Valentino Rossi, if it remained the same, would be separated by just 3 points, but that would be 8 points if Nicky Hayden can get past Colin Edwards. I think that is absolutely crucial. There's a big difference going into the race. 3 points and 8 points. 3 points would mean that Valentino Rossi could win the championship in Valencia. Yes, quite comfortably, couldn't he? If he won the race, he obviously would be world champion. So it's very important that Nicky Hayden gets past. Oh, somebody's gone. Is it Pedrosa that's gone? Is it both the Hondas are gone? They've both gone. Hayden has gone, and the Repsol Hondas have both crashed out. Danny Pedrosa and Nicky Hayden have crashed out of the Grand Prix of Portugal. The World Championship has been blown wide open. Nicky Hayden has crashed out after a collision with his teammate Danny Pedrosa. Pedrosa slides into Nicky Hayden. Hayden's championship dreams have disappeared after a mistake by his teammate Danny Pedrosa. Oh, Nicky Hayden, oh, he cannot believe it. He cannot believe it. His championship dreams have gone. No need to say a word. Just look at the pictures. Unbelievable. Here we go on board. Pedrosa makes a mistake.
Oh, that's the biggest one of his life, I think, Nick.
He crashes into Hayden. Nicky Hayden's championship dreams disappear. Yamaha look on. They cannot believe what has happened.
It's a bit of a stunned silence down here in the pits at the moment too, Nick. There's been a bit of, I say a few adjectives being said at the moment, but we'll try and get in there and see what we can do with them, Nicky or Pete Benson later on.
Stunned silence up here in the commentary box. Valentino Rossi will lead the World Championship by 13 points going into the final round in Valencia if he wins this race. Will his board mark tell him that Hayden is out? I think they probably will at some point, won't they? Perhaps you could go up and have a look, but I'm stunned up here. I can, you can just look down in the pit lane and just feel the stunned silence. Unbelievable. Hayden brought down by his own teammate, Danny Pedrosa, and almost certainly it has lost the American the World Championship. There we go. Confirmation. Valentino Rossi will not believe. You can see that smile through his visor, can't you?
There's the board, Nick. We're right. Hayden out. Big words at the top of the pit board for Rossi as he went sweeping past that lap.
Right, let's settle back to the race. 22 laps to go. Rossi leads from Edwards. A fantastic ride by Tony Elias into third place. Loris Capirossi 4. Kenny Roberts Jr. 5. Carlos Checa 6. John Hopkins 7. Makoto Tamada 8. Chris Vermeulen 9. Marco Melandri 10. Randy De Punier 11. Alex Hoffman 12. James Ellison 13th. Juan Luis Cardoso 14th. 15th Gary McCoy. Everybody else is out of the race. Words are not needed, are they, when you see pictures like that? I've never seen Nicky Hayden angry in my life. I've not seen an angrier man than that almost in my life.
I think it's quite understandable, isn't it? It's just
unbelievable. It's just stunning. Stunned silence, isn't there?
Well, it's a bit of an irony there, I suppose, Nick. A bit of coincidence as well. I think about 10 years ago to the very month at Eastern Creek, where Repsol Hondas come together with Alex Gruvier and also Mick Doohan.
There you go. Mick Doohan looking on in the race here. And here comes Tony Elias trying to get up the inside of Colin Edwards. Great third place. Loris Capirossi 4. Kenny Roberts Jr. in 5th place. Meanwhile, he will protect his man at the front back the whole time now, Colin Edwards. He will dictate that pace in 2nd place, and he will do everything he can just to let Rossi get away at the front. Valentino Rossi has been handed the chance of his retention of the world title in the most bizarre circumstances you could ever imagine.
Nick, I've got Mick Doohan with me. Mick, you know as well as anybody, what has Nicky got to do to get his head back around that and attack Valencia? Like, the day's gone.
Well, he'll know exactly what he's got to do. He's just got to go out there and win the race, as he did here, really. He couldn't afford to sort of let Valentino finish in front of him, but Valentino's got one better than that. He's got a bag full of points as well. So really, realistically, as you know, that Nicky has to win, and there has to be some space between, some bikes between him and Valentino, or Valentino has some sort of problem. The likelihood of that happening is fairly remote, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and exactly. We know what Valentino's like when he gets the momentum going. And it's almost 10 years to the day that you had a similar thing happen to you at Eastern Creek.
Yeah, but we weren't in the hunt for the championship. The championship was over, and it was a little bit different as well. But it doesn't. At the end of the day, it's a racing incident. Unfortunately, between two teammates, one of the guys has a realistic chance at the title, which I guess has fallen a little bit further away.
All right, mate, thank you.
Cheers.
Mick Doohan, 5 times world champion. He sounds stunned as well, Mark. I think everybody is.
Everybody is, and it's the fact that you least expect Danny Pedrosa to make a mistake right behind his teammate and to do that. And Nicky's pretty lucky that he wasn't seriously hurt the way the two bikes come together. He was almost sandwiched between the two Hondas. So I'll just try and get a word with Pete Benson as well. Pete, well, everybody's just stunned here, so you'd be just shaking your head. Just what goes through your mind?
Oh, it's just a fucking, excuse my French, completely pointless, thing. Second lap of the race to go in and do that, and that makes the championship very difficult now. And some teammate, that's all I can say.
Have you spoken to Nicky?
No, he hasn't come back yet.
Well, I suppose it'd be hard to get a word out of him, but it'd be also trying to keep him away from Danny, because it'd be the first time in my life that I've seen Nicky upset.
Well, yeah, he's got every right to be upset, you know. I mean, it's all very well to race hard, but just to go and do something that dumb on the second lap, to me, is just, you know, completely pointless.
All right, mate, we'll leave you to it. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah, well, he summed it up in with a bit of French, and you can't really blame him at the moment. The emotions are running pretty high down here at the moment, Nick.
Well, you're getting right in amongst it, well done, Braxy. And Pete Benson, crew chief for Nicky Hayden, well, and then Mick Doohan, who's seen it all before, but even Mick Doohan, I don't think has seen that. He so almost politely put it, when it was with me, I'd already won the World Championship, and it was, but this was, unbelievable. 19 laps ago, Valentino Rossi still leads. Colin Edwards in second place, Tony Elias riding a great ride in third, Kenny Roberts Jr. now up into fourth in front of Loris Capirossi, Carlos Checa 6, John Hopkins 7, Makoto Tamada 8, Marco Melandri 9, Christopher Newland 10, Randy De Punier 11, Alex Hoxman 12, James Ellison 13. We're waiting for Cardoso and Gary McCoy to arrive in 14th and 15th place. But the sting's gone. The tension, the excitement, it's like a big balloon just going pop. Everything's gone. Most extraordinary scenes. And Danny Pedrosa took out his own teammate, Nicky Hayden, to hand that World Championship plate that title on a plate to Valentino Rossi and also to Yamaha. Great ride, I keep saying, by Tony Elias. Of course, whatever he does, I think even if he won the race, it would be overshadowed by what has happened. Kenny Roberts going very well in fourth place. Hasn't had the best of qualifying and practice sessions. What a season he's had on his dad's Honda-powered KR machine with those Michelin tyres. Rossi's gap at the front, just about 1.1 seconds. He's pretty consistent. Colin Edwards will just hang in there and do a fantastic job. You've got to say, Colin Edwards was riding very aggressively as well, Mark, but not against Valentino Rossi, but against Danny Pedrosa and Nicky Hayden, which was what you would expect. You wouldn't expect him to do it against Valentino Rossi. Imagine if he'd done that to Valentino Rossi.
Oh, well.
And Tony Elias has just moved into second place by the look of things. Let's just wait and see.
Well, Edwards is about to sign a contract, and if that had happened, I don't think the contract would have been around for too much longer. But Edwards doing what he's been wanting to do. He's finally got this bike sorted the way he wanted to. He's been changing his riding style, left, right and centre, trying to get away from the superbike style of standing it up and using the corner speed more of these big bore bikes. But now he's just playing a good waiting game there, letting Rossi get away a bit. Now he's out to over a second still over Edwards as we look at Gary McCoy on screen, moving into the points at the moment in 15th, which is a remarkable debut for this Illmore team as he starts to put Cardoso under all sorts of pressure. But Edwards, a remarkable race, but I'm just still stunned down here in pit lane, Nick. It's just
we all are.
Unbelievable. Who would have thought that a teammate to take out a teammate in such a critical stage of a race or a championship?
There's Murray Alien looking on very proudly at his Grand Prix debut in motorcycle racing. And Tony Elias, I'm still stunned, and I'm just reading the race wrong. Tony Elias still in third place. Colin Edwards doing a great job for his teammate Valentino Rossi. There you are. But Tony Elias actually coming under a fair bit of pressure now from Kenny Roberts Jr. So let's wait and see what happens in that particular battle. And just get the feeling that Kenny Roberts Jr. really has got a podium scent in his nostrils, and he could get after Colin Edwards. So that's going to be an interesting battle. But the big news is that Danny Pedrosa has crashed out, taking out his teammate, Nicky Hayden. Danny Pedrosa was in fourth place. He was having a pretty rough battle with Nicky Hayden in third place, but it's his teammate who was leading the World Championship. He slid out and he took Hayden out as well. And Hayden's World Championship chances have just disappeared in a cloud of dust.
And just looking at when they have the post-race interviews and stuff, I can guarantee that Rossi will say that would be the last way that he wanted to get in the lead in this championship. He'll be as devastated as a lot of us are, because he's got untold respect for Nicky Hayden.
Yeah, I think he has, and he doesn't want to win a world title like that, but I think you should camp out in the Repsol Honda garage, actually, Braxy. I think you go take your camp bed down there and wait for them all to arrive back. I don't think they will arrive back in the garage, actually, to be really honest with you.
No, well, I don't think you can see the two of them within shooting distance of each other at the moment. As we look at the screen of, is that Marco Malance, one of the Fortuna guys?
Yeah, I think it's Melandri just running off the track. He really is having pretty miserable time at the moment, isn't he, Marco Melandri?
He certainly is, but one who's not having a miserable time, Mario Ilian. Congratulations to get such a... I know there's been a few expiries, but to see you already in the points. I know we've got a few laps to go, but that smile might be getting a bit bigger.
Yeah, it looks quite good. He's running consistently. He's just overtaken the first guy. So hopefully we can progress some more.
And speaking of the progress, you've been taking little increments all weekend and getting better and better. And like in this morning's warm-up, the fastest lap of the weekend.
Yes, I mean, it looked good this morning, and I hope we can finish the race. That is our target today.
Well, it's good to see you, Ian, and hopefully all the success for you in the future. Thank you very much.
Murray Lynn from Illmore Engineering. Gary McCoy in the points. Having an absolutely superb ride at the front still. Valentino Rossi having his lead protected by Colin Edwards. Colin Edwards second. Tony Elias third. Kenny Roberts Jr. in fourth place. Going to be a good battle for second place.
Yeah, what you were saying about a podium shot, but Roberts, I think you'll be quite determined to try and relegate the Spaniard and the American to move into second in the next few laps. Well, we've got less than 16 laps to go.
Yeah, 15 and a half to go. Just about getting our sort of, not even our breath back, a sort of just sense back after the goings on in the early stages of this race. Although that picture of Danny Pedrosa, when it happened, Mark, I couldn't believe it. I thought Pedrosa's crashed. Then suddenly I realised there was two Repsol Hondas in the dirt. It was just absolutely stunning. One of the most dramatic moments, I think, in Grand Prix racing.
Well, in recent memory, that's for sure. And I think it was that double left-hander that takes him out to the back of the circuit where there's been a few guys go down this weekend. It's it starts Canberra, then it goes off Canberra. And I think Dan didn't matter what the camber was. Danny's just gone in there too hot, had to grab a handful of brake and turned into a bowling ball.
15 and a half laps to go. Valentino Rossi on course to win the Grand Prix of Portugal. More important, open up a 13-point lead in the World Championship over Nicky Hayden, who has crashed out in the early stages after being brought down by his own teammate Danny Pedrosa. Hotting up in this battle for third place. Elias still third, Edwards second, Kenny Roberts Jr. though closing on Tony Elias all the time. Kenny Roberts Jr. in fourth place at the moment. Makoto Tamada 5, what a good ride by him. Carlos Checa 6, good ride by him. John Hopkins 7, good ride by him. Loris Caparossi 8, 9 is Chris Vermeulen, 10 is Randy de Prunier, 11 is Marco Melandri, who just saw run off the track. Alex Hoffman 12, James Ellison 13. Gary McCoy, as Mario Ilian just told us, has moved up another place into 14th place. And Cardoso, the only man left in the field, in 15th place. Out, it tells us Hayden, Pedrosa, Stoner, Gibernau and Nakano.
That move then by Elias, just running it in so hot under Edwards and nearly running off the track, but he still held on to second spot. A great move there, unbelievable in matter of fact.
Tony Elias up into second place. Colin Edwards will help his teammate, I promise you, but it actually won't matter now, will it? Tony hasn't got to protect his teammate anymore because the man he had to protect him against, and there come Colin Edwards is enjoying this.
Straight
this
up
is just where he got past Danny Pedrosa on lap 1, wasn't it?
Exactly right, Nick. He loves that bit. He goes in really tight there, manages to steer it. And like you said, it's the corkscrew in reverse. I don't know if he's done the corkscrew in reverse down at Laguna, but he certainly got this one down pat.
Yes, I think, almost that manoeuvre against Danny Pedrosa really got Danny Pedrosa fired up, don't you? And then Hayden went past him pretty tough, didn't he?
That one, when Hayden just pushed him out of the way, could have got the old Latin temperament a bit excited as well.
But this day will never be forgotten as the day a teammate took out another teammate and stopped him really. Hey, the World Championship isn't over, so let's just ride off Nicky Hayden's chances. But when you're leading by 51 points at one stage and you go into the final race 13 points down, and you're riding against Valentino Rossi, you just get the feeling things are stacked up against you pretty hard, don't you?
Well, when you've let him get in that far in front, that'll be 13 points in front, I presume that he's taken 25 points out of him. If it was the other way around, you'd think Rossi might have a chance, but now that Rossi's got that momentum, it'll take a superhuman effort from Nicky Hayden and misfortune on Rossi's part for it to change. I think, Nick, that's been handed to him on the silver platter with gold plating, I think.
Rossi, of course, has had his problems with the Yamaha earlier in the season, you've got to say, rather than later in the season. Of course, Laguna Seca wasn't that long ago, and the Yamaha expired, but since we've come back from Laguna Seca, the M1 Yamaha has looked very competitive, both with Valentino Rossi and Colin Edwards. And Tony Elias has to say, and of course back in the second place. And so, well, who knows? Really, who knows anything now after watching that?
Well,
earlier in the 250s, we saw Jorge Lorenzo blow his championship lead. He went into the race with a 27-point championship lead and came out with a, I think he pulled back 12 points, didn't he, Andrea Dovizioso? So really, until you've got that championship plate, that FIM certificate in your hand, you haven't won the title. Great ride by Tony Elias, Mark. It really is the best we've seen of him on any MotoGP machine. As Colin Edwards comes up the inside on the brakes, thinks about going up the inside. Is he going to come? He is, but Elias is just got in there in front of him. Meanwhile, Kenny Roberts Jr. quite, well, I won't say happy, but quite content to sit back there in fourth place and bide his time, because there's quite a big gap between him and Makoto Tamada in fifth place. John Hopkins has moved up into sixth. Carlos Checa has been relegated to seventh. Caparossi 8th, Vermeulen 9, Depurnier 10, Melandri 11, Alex Hoffman 12, Ellison 13, McCoy 14, and Cardoso 15.
Now, just mentioning Carlos Checa, I've got Jeremy Ferguson with me, the head of Dunlop. Jeremy, it's been a hard year for you, but it's all starting to pay off. Good qualifying in Australia, good qualifying here, and looking like a pretty good race result for Carlos.
Yeah, it's great, and obviously on his birthday even better. Everybody's been working very hard, and for sure we've been making progress all the year. Some blips, but basically the progress has been in the right direction, and I hope we can build on it for next year.
Well, you're certainly going to build on it. Now the big thing is to try and keep Carlos in the loop.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, clearly he's played a major part, and we hope very much that he wants to stay part of the same team for next year. We're quite confident, and we hope we can achieve that.
Well, a result like this might just tip the scales in your favour.
Well, certainly won't do any harm. That's for sure. You know, he's a top rider. He needs to be able to race with the top guys. I mean, that's clearly, and it's up to us to make sure that he can do that.
All right, enjoy the rest of the race.
Thank you.
Jeremy Ferguson from Dunlop was telling us about Carlos Checa. I suppose that's a two-way thing, really. You say, Mark, yeah, a good result today can help even more, but it probably ups the price a bit, doesn't it? And also makes the other teams more interesting. I'll tell you what, Tony Elias is having a real good go. He's actually closing the gap a little bit on Valentino Rossi.
Well, at the moment, the rumours are that he's out of a ride in that Fortuna team run by Fausto Grassini. So it's the usual thing. If you want to sack me, this is what you're going to lose, because he's had a bit of a rough year as well, and struggling with a bit of fitness. He missed out on, he was involved in that accident, not to a great extent in Catalunya, but also in Assen the following week when he crashed and was sent home with a broken collarbone.
So I just saw Chris Vermeulen running off the track and coming back on, banging his hand on the top of his helmet as if to say, come on, boy, think. And Tony Elias is definitely closing on Valentino Rossi. Now, so much has happened today, but this would just be the final straw, wouldn't it, really? Tony Elias was to win the race with Valentino Rossi. It would be a fantastic result for him. But Rossi won't want him to win this one, I can tell you. Rossi, there's 5 points at stake here, isn't he? Everything's gone Rossi's way at the moment, but Elias is closing on him.
And speaking of closing, these clouds are closing in too, Nick, so they could just throw another spanner in the works for it.
Oh my golly, what a day.
Now it's down to 0.7 of a second for Elias and Rossi at the moment, and hasn't he really got the head under the tank at the moment? Just trying to really haul him in, and the best ride will undoubtedly was seen this year, but in a couple of years from Tony Elias.
Yeah, for a long, long time. Again, he started the season really well. Remember, he actually was involved in that incident as Kenny Roberts Jr. comes up alongside Colin Edwards. Is he going to make his move? He thought about it, and here he comes.
Geez, I think Edwards is going to be really hanging on to try and get his first podium of the year. And I'd say, is that a bit of a damp spot out the back there, or is it just the angle of the bitumen there, Nick?
I think it's probably just the angle of the bitumen. Let's really, really hope so. Now, Tony Elias has won here twice, you see, at Estoril, the 250 class in 2003 and 2004. So he knows about winning at Estoril. Really can't believe Valentino Rossi, let him win the race. What I mean to say is Valentino Rossi will fight so hard. There we are, Chuck Axeland, Warren Willing, Kenny Roberts Jr.'s wife on the left, checking the progress of their man. He's chasing very hard after a podium finish. It's actually a good race, this, but it's events which have happened earlier which have totally overshadowed anything that happens now. Just to remind you, The early stages of the race, the second lap, would you believe, Danny Pedrosa crashed out and brought down his teammate Nicky Hayden. And if this remains the same, with Valentino Rossi winning the Grand Prix of Portugal, he would go into the final round of the championship with a 13-point lead. He came into this race with a 12-point deficit. Nicky Hayden was furious. That is completely inappropriate word. I don't think I've ever seen anybody so angry at what happened. It was an extraordinary crash.
It's a bitter pill to swallow, Nick, because it's something completely out of your hands and it's just destroyed your whole year. And they've got to sit with each other for the next 2 years as teammates.
Yeah. I wonder if Nicky Hayden would have signed that contract when he signed in Motegi to stay with Honda if he'd have
and look at
that was going to happen.
And the aggressive style of Tony Elias going down to the straight there in a turn one, that is just, we haven't seen anything from this at Tony all year.
No, he rode a good first race. Remember, he was involved in the incident that Valentino Rossi crashed on the first bend at Jerez. Then he rode in a very good race since then, but he had some bad injuries, didn't he? I think you're right, it was Assen he had the really bad injury, missed some races, he's never been quite fit, riding for his future now and putting in an absolutely superb performance. This would be his third win at Estoril, but the other two coming in the 250cc class. Colin Edwards still third, Kenny Roberts Jr. fourth, Tamada 5, Hopkins 6, Checker 7, 8 is Caparossi, 9 Melandri, 10 Vermeulen, 11 Deprunier, 12 Hoffman, 13 Ellison, 14 Cardoso. He's got past Gary McCoy. We're just waiting to see if Gary McCoy's going to come over the start and finish line. As Cardoso's safely gone through, no sign of Gary McCoy. He's one lap down at the moment, so it does appear there may be a problem with the Illmore. Gary McCoy's still not over the start and finish line. That would be very sad. They've had such a good debut race. But it does appear now that problems for Illmore. And just 14 riders at the moment as they cross the start and finish line now. Rossi leads, Elias in second place.
Here he comes into the pits, Nick. At least he's bringing it back.
So Gary McCoy into the pits on the Illmore. The battle at the front still rages. Rossi leads, Elias second, Edwards third, Kenny Roberts Jr. fourth. And the race is over, I think, for Illmore. A sad end to their Grand Prix debut. They've impressed everybody, but the race is over and Gary McCoy out of the race. But he could still pick up a championship point, couldn't he? He's in 15th place at the moment.
Oh, he's in the pits at the moment, Nick. Just scrambling around the bike, just trying to find out what's happening. Gary's talking to his Eskel Suda and his crew chief, Hamish Jameson.
But what a race we have at the front. Tony Elias now right behind Valentino Rossi. 8.5 laps to go. I think Rossi looks behind him and he probably thinks it's Marco Melandri. Up through this difficult left, right, and right. Then into the S's. And Elias, I tell you, he's going to have a go at Rossi.
Now, I've got Hamish Jameson with me at the moment. Hamish, what did Gary just say to you then? It's a bit of a disappointment into a very confidence-inspiring weekend.
Yeah, it just seems like we've lost power in some way electrically. So at the moment we think we might have had a problem with the battery. So we're just going to change the battery and send him back out again. But you're right, it's been a sensational start to the race. And just one of many steps that have to come in the future.
Well, considering you only put 12 laps together in any of the test sessions you did, to come out here and up against in front of the world, it is a tremendous effort.
That's right. You know, we've been steadily improving. We had a poor qualifying for various reasons. But we did feel quite confident going into the race about a consistent race pace, and that's what we've seen until now.
All right, mate. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Hamish Jameson, there we go. Confirmation of how it will be, although Tony Elias might have something to say about that because it would be a 13-point difference between Valentino Rossi and Nicky Hayden. But Tony Elias is right behind him. Marco Melandri's got in front of Loris Caparossi. So, my golly, I would think that Nicky Hayden, wherever he is and he's hiding at the moment, should be out there on the track urging on Tony Elias. 13 points it is at the moment, but that could be reduced to 8 points if Tony Elias could get past Valentino Rossi, and that would do Tony Elias' standing with Honda. It would make him an absolute hero, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, he might end up in the Repsol Honda team next year. Stranger things have happened.
But he's certainly doing a brilliant job for Honda, is Tony Elias.
And Gary McCoy, you might have heard him in the background just disappearing down pit lane to rejoin the race. Just a minor electrical problem with all this telemetry they got on the bikes now. That is a true story.
7 laps to go, they cross the line. Valentino Rossi, we've hardly mentioned him all race, have we? He's led from the start and finish. He's not at the finish yet. And Tony Elias gets in front. Wow, what some overtaking from Tony Elias. Rossi looks behind him and says, what the hell is going on? Whoa, Tony Elias has come from nowhere. He has got past Valentino Rossi and he's going. Where has he found this from? Absolutely unbelievable late braking. Rossi can't believe it.
And look, he must have been on his property north of Barcelona on the dirt bike, Nick, because he's riding this thing like a dirt tracker lately, backing it in, spinning the rear as much as he can, then he makes a gap on him. Look at the team elation.
Wow, well done, Tony Elias. Nicky Hayden, I'm sure you don't want to show your face, but you want to be out there cheering on, and Elias is going.
And as if to say Rossi's not trying, he nearly forced himself off the peg's end, and look, he's closed right up as we see Gary McCoy getting well out of the way there with this bunch coming up behind him.
Pretty sensible there, Gary McCoy. Rossi won't let this go without a fight, will he? 23-year-old Tony Elias, winner here in the 250s on 2 occasions, and putting on a manoeuvre there that shocked the world champion.
Now here's another scenario, being a little stir of the lamb. Now that Hayden's out of the race and Rossi's in the lead, does Edwards go for it? All right, mate, I'm going to try and get second off you and let you know that I can really race with you.
Definitely not. 100% not, I'm sure of that. And Rossi is not finished, is he?
Not by any stretch. And look at this, you can see the back end of Tony Ellis' bike breaking away as he comes onto the straight.
Down the start and finish straight, 6 laps to go. We've had drama all the way. We were stunned for about 5 laps, couldn't speak. And now we're back to a fantastic race. And Tony Elias is riding a race of a lifetime. He's almost a 0.2 of a second gap over Valentino Rossi, Colin Edwards and Kenny Roberts Jr. just hanging in there in 4th place at the moment. This is Tony Elias as we've never seen him on a MotoGP bike. Tremendous 125 rider, great 250cc rider. Looked a natural in the MotoGP class, but had his problems with injuries. But he really has ridden quite brilliantly. But Valentino Rossi is back in front. Little mistake there by Tony Elias. You don't do that with Valentino Rossi behind you. And Rossi's back in the lead.
He ran it out a bit wide there, Nick, which is very easy to do. That's a internal parabolica that he just went in a bit too hot, had to push it out, pull it back in as we see this replay of it here.
There we go, it's a little bit wide. Rossi, beautiful tight line.
He's
Rossi
probably
takes over the lead.
Probably still getting his head around the fact that he was actually leading the race.
Yeah. Well, Rossi knows what to expect now. And will know how to defend. 5.5 laps to go. Elias right on his tail once again. He's going to have another go. 23-year-old Spaniard. His father was a Spanish motocross champion. I think he's probably taught him a little bit about dirt riding. He is having an absolutely superb race.
Well, Elias has got nothing to lose, has he?
No.
You know, his season has been pretty shattered from the beginning as we get Elias stuck his leg out as if to say, go on then, you can get in front of me. That was, we don't see that very often. You look behind him as well.
Not sure what that was all about. Okay, here they come down the start and finish. 5 laps to go. Rossi leads, Elias second, Kenny Roberts Jr. up into 3rd place in front of Colin Edwards. Chuck Axland, just a little bit of a smile, only a tiny little one.
Gary Edwards in and out of the pits again, and he's shaking his head at me but nodding at the same time as if to say we're going to keep giving this thing a go. That's, you know, like many other teams have just parked the bike, but that just shows the determination and commitment of this Illmore team.
Spread out across the track. Kenny Roberts has been very, very patient, hasn't he? Well, when he makes his move, he makes it stick.
He does make it stick, and I've got Chuck Axland with me. A bit of a struggle all weekend, Chuck, and I know there's been a few retirements in this race, but to get up to 3rd, still a remarkable effort.
Well, I think, you know, the targets, wherever Valentino is, and we're quite close to him. So, yeah, we're in the fight, and it's unfortunate what happened to Danny, and Nicky. But that's racing sometimes. We had some bad luck this weekend, but hopefully it's turned around during this race.
Well, he's moving forward at the right time of the race too, so that there could be a second or a
He's
first
up into second
split.
place.
Up in the second.
Well, that's great. Keep moving forward. It'd be great.
All right, we'll let you go, Chuck. He's nearly pulling himself away from me when I said that just to see what's happened. But excellent ride by Al. We've been sort of waxing lyrical all year about the Roberts concerns. How they're up against the big boys and doing a marvellous job with it.
They certainly are. Kenny Roberts Jr. now up into second place. Could he chase after Valentino Rossi? You just get the feeling that Rossi's had his scare, don't you? And Rossi now knows that he's got to ride absolutely to the limit to win this race. But Kenny Roberts Jr. up into second place. Valentino Rossi still leads. Tony Elias just hanging on to third from Colin Edwards. 4 laps to go.
And you can see that Rossi's opened the wick up a bit more, so we put that lead out now. It's nearly half a second. Well, it's over half a second now to Roberts as they go through the first split and up the hill through this hairpin onto the back straight.
Rossi, Roberts, Edwards nearly up the inside there of Tony Elias. Tamada still 5, 6 is Hopkins, 7 Checker, 8 Melandri, 9 Caparossi, 10 Vermeulen, 11 De Prunier, 12 Hoffman. We wait for Ellison Cardoso and Gary McCoy, a few laps down, but can still pick up a championship point in 15th place. He's actually just gone through 4 laps down. Kenny Roberts is not letting Rossi get away. Oh, this would just be, well, this, talk about restore the pride of America. What a performance by Kenny Roberts. Now Tony Elias has had to go, but now Kenny Roberts Jr. What I like about Kenny Roberts Jr., he bides his time mark, doesn't he? He waits and waits, and when he makes it move, when he makes his move, he really tries to make it stick.
Yeah, and this year he's got the confidence back, hasn't he, Nick? He's had a pretty average years on the Suzuki since he won the world title way back then. It's almost an eternity ago now, and he's just sitting there knowing what he's got to do, and I reckon he's going to have a good go at passing Rossi. Rossi has not got this one in the bag whatsoever with less than 4 laps to go. Down 3 as they come onto the straight.
Come on to the start and finish line, 33-year-old Kenny Roberts Jr. There's his dad. He can't believe it. Won that world title way back in the year 2000 on that 500 Suzuki, and he's right on Rossi's tail. Through turn 1, coming up to turn 2. Elias and Edwards fight it out for third place, that final podium position, but Roberts is in with a chance of winning this race. Roberts right behind Valentino Rossi, right behind him. We ride with Kenny Roberts Jr. 2 3/4 laps ago. Rossi leads the way. Rossi leads the World Championship by 13 points. If the positions remain the same, that will drop to 8 points if Roberts could get in front of him. He will not want that to happen. So Nicky Hayden must have been out there cheering on first Tony Elias because he's riding a Honda. Now perhaps he's out there cheering on Kenny Roberts because he's an American. But Rossi, as we know, is not an easy man to pass. You can get past him once and he'll be back at you straight away. Rossi, though, having to ride very, very hard to remain in the lead.
Now, Rossi seems to be pulling away, getting out of the corners, but Roberts closing right up under brakes.
This is going to be a fantastic end to the race. Rossi chasing his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th Grand Prix victory of the season. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th Grand Prix victory of the season. And Roberts, of course, chasing his first one of the year on that KR machine, built in Oxfordshire in England. He's right behind Rossi again as they come down the start and finish straight. Is he going to be close enough? Here he comes, Roberts. He's pulled up alongside and Kenny Roberts is going to take the lead. And Kenny Roberts leads the Grand Prix of Portugal with 2 laps remaining for Valentino Rossi. Can you believe it? Then he runs it a little bit wide, but he hangs in there. 33 years old, the former world champion. His dad looks on, as does Valentino Rossi's dad, Graziano, look on. They must be very proud of their 2 sons.
And it won't be too long before Elias has a look as we watch a replay here. Great late braking again. He just drove straight past Rossi there on the straight. Tremendous power through the slipstream. But look at Elias, right up the proverbial Rossi at the moment as well.
Roberts leads, Rossi in second place, Tony Elias in third. Perhaps the World Championship is not over yet. 1.5 laps to go. Roberts is flying at the front. He's got away. He has got away. He could win this race. What an incredible achievement that would be. His father's team, his father's bike, his father, the 3 times world champion, Kenny Sr., Kenny Jr., the winner of that world title in the 500 class 6 years ago, and he could win the Grand Prix of Portugal here in Estoril. His last Grand Prix victory coming at Motegi in Japan 6 years ago. Rossi will not like this. Rossi will come back surely. Rossi has World Championship points in the bag. His lead at the top of the championship now is down to 8 points. If he could win the race, it will be 13. They come into the start and finish straight for not the last time. Next time it will be last. They cross the start and finish line now. 1 lap to go. Roberts comes under pressure from Rossi. Rossi pulls alongside him. Elias is also there. And Elias is an absolute demon of late braking. And it's Elias has taken the lead. Tony Elias has taken the lead. Roberts is alongside him. Rossi has been relegated to 3rd place.
Yep.
Roberts now has relegated to 3rd because Rossi's moved back into 2nd.
We thought this race had lost it after the demise.
Let's look at this again. Look at Tony Elias. Where has he come from?
Oh, that was so close to Nick. Oh, what a desperate, determined move that was. Now what can Rossi do?
Rossi's still in 2nd place. Tony Elias leads the way. Kenny Roberts Jr. 3rd. Colin Edwards not quite close enough, but don't rule him out in 4th place. Rossi's going to have one big go. You can absolutely guarantee it. But Elias is riding the race of his life.
Going into the chicane, Nick, what do you reckon?
Not sure. I'm really not sure. Elias so wants to win this one. Up through the right hand, and now they're coming up to 8, 9 and 10. And there goes Rossi, absolutely right. Rossi leads the way. Is he going to hold it? No, he's not. Elias back in front. Rossi up the inside. Rossi back in front. They're coming into the S's. 2 bends to go. This is the left, and then it's the long right into the start and finish. Is Valentino Rossi going to win his 6th race of the season? Is this going to give him nearly the world title with 1 round to go? Rossi leads the way. Elias is there. Rossi under the fairing are absolutely side by side. They come over the start and finish line now. Who is going to win the race? And Tony Elias wins. Tony Elias has won the race. Oh my golly. Valentino Rossi in 2nd place. Kenny Roberts 3rd. And Colin Edwards in 4th place. What a performance by 23-year-old Tony Elias from Manresa in Spain. Can you believe it? He has won the Grand Prix of Portugal. It has been a wretched day for Honda, but Tony Elias has restored so much of their pride with his very first Grand Prix victory in the MotoGP class. Valentino Rossi leads the World Championship by 8 points going into that final round. What a race. What a day we have had.
Well, who would have... I'm just trying to get my breath back and my senses back, Nick. After that, we saw Pedrosa and Hayden go, and we thought, oh, this race is an anticlimax. But it's turned into one of the races of the year, if not the last 5 years.
There we are. Rossi takes the lead, as Mark predicted, going up into the S's section. Elias, though, pulls it back, but Rossi holds onto the lead. And we just know that it's going to come to that long last right hand and then down the start and finish line. And Elias just has that little bit more drive. The gap, Mark, you have to help me here. 0.002. That's 0.02 of 1 second, isn't it?
You're getting better with your maths, Nick.
Yeah. 0.02 of 1 second. And Tony Elias has won the Grand Prix of Portugal in a race that has seen the Repsol Honda teammates Danny Pedrosa and Nicky Hayden crash out in a collision that was Pedrosa's fault early in the race and probably blow Nicky Hayden's chances of winning that world title. Who will make the headlines? Danny Pedrosa and Nicky Hayden?
Depends which
Elias?
country you're in, but I've got Kenny Roberts with me. Kenny, a great race. It's a culmination of a year's hard work, and to get up actually to the front must make you feel really proud.
Yeah, I guess what we found out in Japan after the race, Kenny was very happy with. It looks like it's paid off. So, yeah, extremely happy. What more can I say?
Exactly, mate. It's just, it's a really good story to see you guys up against the factory guys in a small factory doing what you're doing and being able to stick it to these guys.
Well, it was kind of a funny race, but we had the race pace. That was obvious. And I don't know where it came from. It came from Kenny. So we're just tickled to death.
I think it's in the genes, mate.
I hope so.
All right, thank you. Kenny Roberts, very succinct as usual.
Kenny Roberts, senior, 3 times world champion. Watching his son, Kenny Roberts Jr., finish 3rd, and a man that could have won the race. There we are, 0.02 of 1 second between Tony Elias and Valentino Rossi. Rossi, though, he can't be too unhappy. He went into this race 12 points down on Nicky Hayden. He arrives in Valencia 8 points up and the clear favourite to win the world title. There is Danny Pedrosa back to his garage on the back of the scooter of Alberto Puig. Now Rossi will want to win, but Rossi, no, he's saying thank you Yamaha. If you'd have told him yesterday you're going to be 8 points in the lead in the World Championship after this race, he would have said thank you very much indeed. There is Tony Elias' father, the former motocross champion in Spain. Fausto Codicini alongside him, the team manager. And a truly extraordinary MotoGP race. You really do not know what is going to happen next in MotoGP. I mean, Mark, there was just complete startled silence for about 5 laps, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah. It's,
when the crash came, and then suddenly we have an end of race like that.
And yeah, just had to regroup and get our senses together. So, no, what another marvellous race, and just, well, it's your favourite word, Nick, unbelievable again.
Just cannot get a lot better. But I feel desperately sorry, as I'm sure everybody does, for Nicky Hayden. But Honda, well, their chins were on the ground. I would think everything was on the ground. Well, then Tony Elias goes out and wins the race for them. Absolutely out of the blue, wasn't it, Tony Elias? Out of the blue. Nobody, well, what odds would you have got on Tony Elias? I really don't know, to be perfectly honest with you. He was 11th fastest in qualifying. He started from the 4th row of the grid.
And you didn't give him a hope at the beginning, but I've got someone that was racing with a lot of hope, Colin Edwards. I'm sure you're disappointed not to get the podium, but what an incredible race.
Yeah, I didn't plan on Elias and Roberts being there. I thought it would be Pedrosa or Hayden or some of those guys. So at the end of the day, we got a decent run and just sat behind Valentino, kind of protecting him a bit. And there at the end, the last 5 laps, it was all the grip I had to stay where I was, and we weren't really prepared for that. We didn't know what was going to happen. But I mean, Michelin, everybody, my whole team, have done a great job this weekend and come out here with some positives.
Well, and positives, and some of the braking duels between you guys, simply unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, we got it working good.
Well, good to see you smiling again, Colin.
Thanks, mate.
There you go, Colin Edwards eventually finishing 4th place, and so right, wasn't he? And as Kenny Senior, I think somebody said, it was down to Kenny and it was down to Tony Elias. They weren't expected to be up there. But what a day for the 23-year-old from Manresa in Spain. Tony Elias wins his first ever MotoGP race, and he started from 11th place on the grid. A staggering performance in a staggering race. 0.02 of 1 second between him and Valentino Rossi. Just confirm the other placings. Makoto Tamada 5, John Hopkins 6, Carlos Checa 7, Marco Melandri 8, Chris Fimula 9, Randy DePunier 10, Alex Hoffman 11, Loris Capirossi 12, James Ellison 13, Cardoso 14, and Gary McCoy 4 laps down but picked up a World Championship point for Illmore in 15th place. Well done, Valentino Rossi. Look at that. That is fantastic. You don't see that in every sport, Mark, do you? Congratulations to Tony Elias like that, as if to say, unbelievable, you deserve that race win. Hey, Rossi's elated because he's got that big lead in the championship. Shakes hand with all the Yamaha team as well. That came from absolutely nowhere. And that was one of the great performances of the year by the Spaniard, who's had a wretched season. It's a kiss from his dad. Mum's there as well. Fausto Codicini. Alex Crivier, the world champion in 1989. The 1999, sorry, in the 500 class. There he is, just giving Tony Elias a big, big hug. Boy, he rode well, Mark, didn't he? Did he ride well?
I'll just sneak in with another interview. Hang on.
When I drafted Valentino, I didn't see the board, so I assumed it was the last lap. Because everything was going so quick, it's been a long time since I've been in the front. So I thought that was it. And then when I didn't see the checkered flag, it kind of threw me off, and I probably could have blocked a little better in the one. But, hey, it's racing, and, I'm a rookie at this point. It's been so long I've been up there. So the team did a great job. Like I say, we improved the bikes from Monday in Japan. So we showed it in the race. We didn't show it in qualifying, but, we improved in the race, and that's what we're here for.
Well, there you go. That's Kenny Roberts summing up. He reckons he shouldn't be here, but he is. He's up there. He's on the podium. And with a bit of luck, like you said, he missed the flag out. He could have been up there in the winner's circle.
And there we go. Can we say any more? The Kentucky kid's leathered, but no sign of the Kentucky kid. His bike in the garage. His broken bike behind him. Nicky Hayden's had the worst day of his life here in Portugal. I think Kenny Roberts was saying, Mark, I may be wrong, that he didn't know it was the last lap.
Yeah, he missed seeing the flag and the boards. He was just that
he's not used to being up there.
Yeah, and plus the battle that was going on at the time made it a bit hard to actually concentrate on what was happening off the track. You were just wondering what was going on in front of you and behind you. Now, I've got Gary McCoy with me. Gary, a very hard race, but you still brought it home. Bit of history getting that one solitary point, but 4 laps down, but you still managed to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what can I say? We just wanted to finish the race, and the little problem that we had, it took 2 laps to find it, but we found it in the end, and it was really just a minor thing, a really silly fault, which we're able to run the bike again without that connected, and able to finish the race. We got a point. We're a bit lucky there, and I think it's great. Everyone's happy that we brought it home. We've had a trouble-free weekend, other than that little electrical miff in the race, and I think it's going great.
Well, that's where you're going to find the best place to test is in a race, and it's looking good for Valencia next week. You won't be able to give away as much in top speed because of the shortness of the track as well, so it's going to play into your hands a bit more.
Yeah, exactly, and it's quite a twisty place, and I think we're pretty good through all the corners and under brakes, and I think definitely we'll be able to sort of keep up with the other guys a little bit more there, and it's just we've got another 2 days testing here, and hopefully we can move things a bit forward up on what we've done already so far this weekend, and just go to Valencia and put it around that track, which we haven't done yet. So yeah.
All right, mate. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Point there for Gary McCoy. Tremendous performance by him. And the most important graphic that came up while Gary was talking. Valentino Rossi leads the World Championship by 8 points with 1 round remaining.
And now we've got one more race to go, Nick.
Well, I really don't know if I could handle one more race like that. Here we go. We've seen some races, but I don't think we've ever seen a race like this. Shinya Nakano was an early faller on the Kawasaki, but then it started to hot up at the front. And couldn't you believe it? First it was a Sete Gibernau and Casey Stoner, but then it was going to be Danny Pedrosa going down and bringing down the championship leader and his teammate, Nicky Hayden. Look at Nicky Hayden. He is so angry. Rossi told that Hayden is out, and we settle down for 25 points from the world champion. The problem was, not everybody agreed with us. And a certain young man from Manresa in Spain in particular decided this was his moment, his big moment. Tony Elias decided he could win this race. Not that Valentino Rossi was not going to fight back, and that a former World 500cc champion, Kenny Roberts, was not going to make life difficult for them. Roberts leads the way, but then from nowhere, Elias is back in front. Elias leads the way. Rossi fights back. Vital points at stake. He leads the way going into the final turn. The long right-hander. They come into the start and finish straight. The checkered flag beckons, and Elias does it by 2,000th of 1 second to secure his first ever MotoGP victory. What a day for MotoGP. What a ghastly day for Nicky Hayden. But what a performance by Tony Elias, who wins his third race here in Estoril. The other two in the 250s. This is the one he remember in MotoGP. I think even the crowd are a bit stunned.
The Spanish flags were flying high. Then I think that's the last thing they expected. Well, any of us expected was a young 24-year-old Spaniard, or 23. He's got number 24 on his bike, but they'll be leading the way when they cross the all-important finish line.
There's Alex Grillo looking on. He knows all about winning world titles, of course. Won in 1999. And massive supporter of Tony Elias. Tony Elias' future in MotoGP is pretty clouded at the moment. Shouldn't think he's done his chances any harm at all of staying in the class. A little while before they reach the podium, because Valentino Rossi is still doing some interviews.
Well, there's a poignant moment. I've just walked down to the Repsol garage to see if I could find anyone. No one to be seen. The garage door is open and both bikes are undercover, the ones involved at an incident. But in the garage, not a soul to be seen.
I think talking to Pete Benson was amazing that he actually spoke, I think, at the time, the crew chief to Nicky Hayden. And he put it in no uncertain terms. It may not be quite the words we want to hear, but they summed up everything.
I think that line between the garages got a bit thicker in the last half an hour, Nick.
Extraordinary attempted overtaking manoeuvre by Danny Pedrosa.
You've got to
being at the situation the way it was.
You've got to ask, what was he thinking? Well, in fact, was he thinking at the time to be doing something like that when the team could have been looking at securing the World Championship? You never know what could have happened after that.
There's the podium lining up. Kenny Roberts Jr. could have won the race, didn't know it was the last lap, but as always, making no excuses. He said, I'm not used to being up there, and it was pretty intense up there as well, so they're fair enough. A little bit of a conflab going on there between the KR men and the Yamaha men as they wait for their men who actually ride the machines to get up there on the podium. The announcer here on first name terms with all the riders, calling them to get up on the podium as quick as they can.
Kenny up there just savouring the moment at the moment, waving at the crowd and just looking down. I think he's still a bit stunned that he's actually up there.
Tony Elias, here we go. He's going to be up there any moment now. A few more thumbs up. I'm sure he really cannot believe it. He hasn't stopped smiling. A really nice guy, Tony Elias. As I say, tremendous 125 and 250cc rider. Looked an absolute natural to ride in the MotoGP class, but came in and had far too many injuries. Got in with Grassini at the start of this season and things seemed to be going his way. Then got injured again at Assen in Holland, but has fought back in the best possible style. He's on that roll of honour now, comparatively short roll of honour, a winner of a MotoGP Grand Prix.
What does stun me in one regard in that too, Nick, is you think in the final corner of the final lap, no one's going to get better drive onto a straight than Rossi, but to see Elias come through and actually get better drive, being able to push past him, because the slipstream wouldn't have come into effect that much just then on the straight, because the finish line is not where the start line is here at Portugal.
Conor Espeleta, CEO of Dorna Sports. Warm thank you to all the riders in that first three. There we go. Hey, they're putting on a show for that man, aren't they? Valentino Rossi arrives on the podium. Enormous support here for Valentino Rossi. He's pretty pleased. Who can blame him? But the man of the moment, a truly extraordinary performance by the 23-year-old Spaniard, Tony Elias. 11th place on the grid, came from absolutely nowhere to win the Grand Prix of Portugal here in Estoril.
Now, let's hope he does stay in MotoGP, Nick, because that win has just given him the biggest boost of confidence you'd ever want to see.
Kenny Roberts, the first to arrive. Valentino Rossi in second place. But the winner, here he comes. What a rapturous welcome for Tony Elias.
And it looks like Valentino Rossi's almost as happy for him as what Elias is. It just shows you the close the sportsmanship of these guys these days. They really respect each other.
Yeah, they do. I think when you ride with that amount of danger and at that level of so close to each other, you've got to have a great deal of respect for the people you're riding against. So it's Kenny Roberts receiving his trophy for third place. Says he didn't know it was the last lap. Perhaps he could have done a little bit better, but fabulous performance by Kenny Roberts. Great season. There's his wife, Ross. Just applauding her man. Valentino Rossi, second place. And what matters is that he leads the World Championship by 8 points. For the winner here, and what a victory for Tony Elias and Fortuna Honda.
I think the trophy's taller than him, Nick.
Yeah. Fortuna Honda, the team award. And what a day for Spain. And what a day for Tony Elias here in Portugal. One enormous great teardrop drops down his cheek, and mum and dad look on. Champagne time. We're all three, I think, for all different reasons. Tony Elias, obviously, his first ever MotoGP win. Valentino Rossi is ecstatic, isn't he? Hey. He wanted to win the race, but he's got an 8-point lead in the championship, and Kenny Roberts just confirming what a fabulous season he's had in a year that he was going to retire from. Boy, that champagne is going to taste good tonight. Two weeks' time, it's a sellout in Valencia. But the odds now firmly stacked in favour of the doctor, of the Italian Valentino Rossi, to retain that MotoGP World Championship title.